My chosen one, pause everything and listen carefully. Tonight is not ordinary. This message is not random. And the time you are watching this is not a coincidence. When you saw the title, God is saying, this person needs your help ASAP. You should help because there is a special reason. Don't skip God. It's very important. Open this quickly by 11:57 p.m. before it's too late. Something inside your spirit shifted. That was not curiosity. That was divine timing. Heaven does not interrupt without reason. And right now, before the clock moves closer to 11:57 p.m., there is a spiritual urgency surrounding you. God is speaking clearly. Someone connected to your life is in silent distress. They may not be shouting. They may not be posting about it. They may even be smiling in public. But their soul is trembling in private. And here is the shocking truth. You are the assigned vessel. Out of billions of people on this earth, God positioned you within their reach. Not by accident. Not by chance. By design. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian over divine assignments. And in this moment, he is not holding a sword of battle. He is holding a shield of protection over the one who needs you. Because your obedience will activate protection around them. Listen carefully. There is a spiritual window open right now. It will not stay open forever. Heaven operates in divine timing. When God nudges your heart to help, delay becomes disobedience. And disobedience can close doors that were meant to bless generations. You may be thinking, why me? I'm not powerful. I'm not rich. I don't even know what to do. But God is not asking for perfection. He's asking for willingness. The special reason you must help is bigger than what your eyes can see. This person carries a destiny seed. But right now, their faith is weak. Their strength is low. And the enemy hath been whispering lies to them, telling them they are alone, forgotten, unseen. Your help will silence those lies. You do not know this yet, but days ago they prayed. They asked God for a sign. They asked for someone to notice. They asked for one person to care. And heaven responded with your name. Yes, yours. Archangel Michael has already gone ahead of you. He has cleared obstacles you cannot see. He has restrained negative forces trying to block this divine connection. But heaven will not force your hand. The final step belongs to you. This is why the message says, open this quickly by 11:57 p.m. Because timing matters. There is a decision forming in their heart. A dangerous discouragement. A plan to withdraw. To give up on something important. And your simple act of help, a call, a message, financial support, a visit, a prayer, will interrupt that downward spiral. You are not being asked to save the world. You are being asked to save a moment. And moments create futures. Let me reveal something deeper. When God assigns you to help someone urgently, it is because your own breakthrough is connected to their survival. There is a spiritual exchange hidden in obedience. As you lift them, heaven lifts you. As you cover them, heaven covers you. Archangel Michael is a witness to divine exchanges like this. He sees what hearts respond quickly, and he fights for those who move without hesitation. The reason this feels urgent is because he is. Your spirit recognized it the second you read the title. That small stirring in your chest. That was confirmation. Do not ignore it. There are blessings attached to quick obedience. There are miracles attached to compassionate action. There are doors that will open for you only after you open your hand for someone else. Right now, somewhere not far from you, A person connected to your life is replaying painful thoughts. They are questioning their worth. They are wondering if anyone would notice if they went silent. You are the answer to that question. And here is something even more powerful. Helping them is not only about them. It is about breaking a cycle. This act will disrupt a generational pattern of isolation. It will plant a seed of unity. It will show heaven that you can be trusted with greater assignments. When Archangel Michael sees a soul willing to act quickly in love, he strengthens that soul with courage. He releases protection. He stands guard over their household. That is why this message says do not skip, because scrolling past this could mean delaying someone's miracle. God does not create panic. He creates purpose. And this urgency you feel is purpose calling your name. Before 11:57 p.m., do something. Reach out. Pray intentionally. Offer help. Send encouragement. Even if you feel unsure, act. Because hesitation is the only thing the enemy needs right now. You might not see immediate results. They might not tell you the full story. But heaven will record your obedience. And in days to come, you will look back and realize that tonight was a turning point. Not just for them, for you. The clock is moving. The spiritual window is open. Archangel Michael is positioned. God has spoken. The question is not whether this message is real. The question is, will you respond? And this is only the beginning of what heaven is about to reveal. Beloved soul, something deeper is unfolding beneath the surface of what you can see. What feels like a simple act of helping someone is actually a divine alignment orchestrated long before this very hour. You were not randomly positioned in their life. God placed you there strategically, knowing that a day would come when your presence would become their lifeline. There is something you must understand clearly. The person who needs your help is not weak. They are not incapable. In fact, they carry tremendous potential. That is precisely why the pressure around them has intensified. When destiny is near, resistance grows stronger. When purpose is about to bloom, opposition tries to suffocate it. Archangel Michael had been observing the spiritual tension surrounding this individual. There has been a battle over their confidence, their peace, and their direction. The enemy has attempted to isolate them emotionally, to make them believe they must carry everything alone. Isolation is the enemy's favorite strategy because when a person feels unseen, they slowly disconnect from hope. And this is where you come in. Your help is not random kindness. It is divine intervention. Perhaps you have sensed distance between you and this person recently. Maybe communication has slowed. Maybe their energy feels different. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual fatigue. They are tired of fighting unseen battles. They are exhausted from pretending everything is fine. But here is what heaven revealed. They will not ask for help directly. Pride, fear, or uncertainty is keeping them silent. And that is why God is speaking to you instead. When someone cannot cry out loud, heaven assigns someone who can hear the whisper. Your obedience is about to shift more than one life. Because when you act, you will break something invisible that has been tightening around them. Archangel Michael stands ready to reinforce your action with protection and strength. When you step forward, heaven steps forward with you. Do not underestimate the power of timing. There are moments in life when delay costs more than we realize. A message sent tomorrow may not carry the same weight as a message sent tonight. A call made next week may not reach them in the same emotional state as they are in right now. This is why urgency was placed on your heart. The clock approaching 11:57 p.m. is symbolic of a closing window. Not of disaster, but of opportunity. Some spiritual doors are time-sensitive. When we respond quickly, we intercept discouragement before it becomes despair. There is something else you must recognize. The reason this assignment was given to you is because you have influence in their heart. They trust you more than you know. Your words penetrate deeper than you realize. Even a small gesture from you will feel like confirmation that God has not abandoned them. Archangel Michael protects divine connections. When two people are aligned for purpose, he stands guard against forces that try to divide or confuse. And right now, your connection with this person is being guarded for a reason. But heaven does not force participation. God is inviting you to partner with him. And here is the mystery. When you help them, something locked in your own life will begin to move. There is a blessing connected to your obedience that has been waiting for activation. Sometimes breakthroughs are not triggered by prayer alone, but by compassion in action. As you consider what to do, pay attention to the small idea forming in your mind. That simple thought to check in. The gentle nudge to offer assistance. That quiet prompting to pray specifically for them. That is not imagination. That is instruction. And let me say this clearly. If this message is touching your heart, if you feel the weight and urgency of what is being spoken, then engage with this moment fully. Like this video so it can reach others who may be assigned to help someone tonight. Share it with someone who needs confirmation. Comment below if you feel God placing a name on your heart right now. Subscribe and become part of this growing movement where we respond to heaven's voice without hesitation. Join the membership if you feel called to stand consistently in alignment with messages like this. Your interaction does more than support a channel. It spreads divine reminders across the world. Something powerful is building, and you are part of it. Before the night ends, act. Do not overthink it. Do not wait for perfect clarity. Compassion does not require complete understanding. It requires willingness. And listen closely to this. What is about to be revealed next will uncover why this connection is far more prophetic than you imagine. There is a hidden reason God chose you specifically, and once you understand it, you will never ignore a nudge like this again. You will want to hear what comes next, because it explains the spiritual exchange that is already in motion. Faithful heart, what you are stepping into is not a small act of kindness. It is a prophetic intersection. There are moments in life when heaven arranges two destinies to collide at exactly the right second, and this is one of those moments. The person who needs your help is standing at a fragile crossroad. One path leads to renewed strength. The other leads to quiet withdrawal. Your response will influence which direction they choose. This is the special reason God emphasized urgency. Days before this message reached you, spiritual tension increased around them. Confusion grew heavier. Doubt became louder. They began questioning their calling, their relationships, even their worth. The enemy studies patterns, and when someone is close to breakthrough, pressure intensifies. But what the enemy did not anticipate was that heaven had already prepared reinforcement. Archangel Michael has been positioned as a guardian over this assignment. In spiritual battles, he does not move randomly. He moves where divine purpose is under threat. And right now, purpose is under pressure in the life of this person connected to you. That is why you felt the stirring so strongly. That inner pull was confirmation that heaven was alerting you. There is something even deeper you must understand. Your obedience is tied to generational impact. This person carries influence that extends beyond what you currently see. If they retreat now, others connected to them will feel the ripple. But if they rise through this storm, others will rise with them. You are not simply helping one individual. You are protecting a chain of future blessings. The enemy often tries to create distance between divine helpers and those they are assigned to support. Misunderstandings, busyness, distractions, pride. These are subtle tactics designed to separate destiny connections. If you have sensed unusual silence or emotional distance recently, recognize it for what it is. It is interference, not coincidence. Archangel Michael stands as the divider between truth and deception. He exposes what is hidden and shields what is sacred. As you prepare to act, know that you are not acting alone. Heaven is reinforcing your courage. Strength you did not know you had will rise within you the moment you step forward. The special reason you were chosen is because you carry empathy without judgment. When they speak, you listen. When they struggle, you do not criticize. God needed someone whose heart was stable enough to handle vulnerability. That is you. And here is a powerful revelation. The help you offer does not need to solve everything. It only needs to interrupt despair. Sometimes one sincere conversation can dismantle weeks of silent suffering. Sometimes one act of generosity can restore lost hope. Sometimes one prayer spoken aloud can break chains of discouragement. Before 11:57 p.m. approaches, let your obedience become action. Do not measure the size of your help. Measure the sincerity of it. Heaven multiplies sincerity. There is also a blessing hidden in this assignment for you. When you protect another person's faith, God strengthens yours. When you become a safe place for someone else, God fortifies your own foundation. Archangel Michael does not only defend those in crisis, he surrounds those who answer divine calls with boldness. Right now, heaven is observing your willingness, not to test you but to trust you with more. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, if you feel confirmation rising inside you, respond with faith. Type "I will obey" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3339 is now released over your obedience. As this code is activated, understand that it is not superstition. It is a reminder, a marker, a declaration that you are aligned with divine instruction. And now, as this moment settles into your spirit, hear this final truth. Your response tonight will echo longer than you think. Years from now, you may not remember the exact date, but you will remember the shift. You will remember the peace that followed your obedience. You will remember how something felt lighter after you acted. Do not underestimate small steps taken at the right time. The clock is still moving. The opportunity is still open. And heaven is still watching with expectation, not pressure but hope. Act quickly. Act sincerely. Act in love. As you step into this act of obedience, remember that every seed sown in compassion becomes a harvest of restoration for souls. When you release support through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a river of light that reaches hearts in silent battles. The Lord declares, as you pour water on thirsty ground, I will pour strength upon you. This is your moment to say, I choose to build what heaven is blessing. Let your generosity become oil in the lamp that keeps these messages burning bright across nations. What you release today will echo in eternity. Activate your faith through giving and step into this prophetic flow now. Precious soul, there is a layer to this that you have not yet seen, and it is vital that you understand it now. What feels like a simple decision to reach out to someone is actually a test of spiritual sensitivity. Heaven often measures readiness for greater assignments by how we handle smaller urgencies. Tonight is not only about helping another person, it is about proving that your heart is aligned with divine timing. The person who needs your help has been carrying something quietly for a long time. This is not a sudden breakdown. It is the result of accumulated weight. Responsibilities stacked upon responsibility. Expectations layered upon expectations. Smiles worn like armor while pressure built underneath. You may have noticed subtle changes, a slight withdrawal, a slower response, a tired tone in their voice. Those were signals. But here is what makes this moment critical. They recently faced a disappointment they did not share fully. It shook them more than they admitted. It planted a question in their spirit. Is it even worth continuing? That question has been echoing in their mind. Not loudly, not dramatically, but persistently. Archangel Michael has been standing watch over that echo. In spiritual realms, discouragement is not harmless. If left unchecked, it grows roots, and roots influence decisions. The reason God is urging you before a specific hour is because tonight is when that internal question is reaching a peak. This is when they are most vulnerable to making a quiet decision to withdraw from something important. A dream, a calling, a relationship, a responsibility. You have influence over that decision. Not because you control them, but because your voice carries credibility in their life. When you speak, they listen differently. When you show up, it reassures them that they are not navigating alone. That reassurance is more powerful than you realize. There is something sacred about being someone's unexpected encouragement. It mirrors how God intervenes in our own darkest moments. Just when we think we must carry everything alone, He sends a reminder that we are seen. Tonight, you are being asked to become that reminder. And listen carefully. This is not about fixing their problems. It is about stabilizing their faith. You are not required to have all the answers. You are required to show up with sincerity. The presence of care is often more transformative than the presence of solutions. Archangel Michael strengthens those who step into uncomfortable obedience. If you feel hesitant, that is normal. Growth rarely feels convenient. But hesitation must not become delay. The spiritual atmosphere around the situation is sensitive. Quick compassion disrupts negative momentum. There is also protection attached to this act. When you intervene in love, you position yourself under divine covering. Helping someone in a critical hour activates unseen defense over your own household. This is a spiritual principle many overlook. Generosity and urgency invites protection and vulnerability. Consider how many times someone reached out to you at the right moment. How many times a message arrived exactly when you needed it. How many times encouragement prevented you from giving up. Tonight, you are being given the opportunity to become that lifeline for someone else. And there is another dimension you must recognize. The person who needs your help may not respond dramatically. They may not reveal everything immediately. Do not measure impact by visible reaction. Some seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface. Trust that your obedience is working even if the results are subtle. Archangel Michael guards seeds planted in faith. He ensures that what is sown in sincerity is not wasted. The courage you demonstrate tonight will echo back to you when you least expect it. Time continues to move forward. The window is still open, but it will not remain open indefinitely. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to emphasize purpose. Moments like this are rare. When heaven highlights a specific hour, it is because something spiritual is aligning behind the scenes. Do not let overthinking rob you of obedience. Do not let pride convince you that it is not your place. If God placed their name on your heart, then it is your place. There is a quiet strength inside you that you may not fully recognize yet. Tonight is an opportunity to activate it. Reach out with compassion. Speak with gentleness. Offer what you can, Pray with intention. Let your actions reflect the urgency heaven has impressed upon your spirit. Because once this moment passes, it cannot be relived. And what is about to unfold next will reveal why this assignment is connected to a larger shift in your own life, a shift that has been building for longer than you realize. Chosen vessel, there is something stirring in the unseen realm that directly connects to your obedience in this hour. What you are about to understand will shift the way you view divine assignments forever. This is not only about preventing someone's discouragement. This is about activating a chain reaction that heaven has been preparing for months. The person who needs your help is standing on the edge of a transition. They are closer to breakthrough than they realize, but breakthroughs often come disguised as pressure. When pressure increases, clarity can decrease. When clarity decreases, fear tries to step in and take control. That is exactly what has been happening beneath the surface. Archangel Michael hath been positioned as a guardian over this transition. When destiny moments approach, there is always resistance. Not because the future is doomed, but because the future is significant. The enemy does not attack what is insignificant. He attacks what carries influence. And this person carries influence. You may only see their current struggle. You may only see their present confusion. But heaven sees their future impact. There are people who will one day be strengthened by their testimony. There are lives that will shift because they chose not to give up. Yet right now, they are tired. And tired minds can make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. That is why your timing matters. When you step in at the right moment, you interrupt negative momentum. Think about a small stone placed in the path of a rolling object. It changes direction. It slows speed. It alters outcome. Your act of compassion will function the same way. It will disrupt something that was quietly moving in the wrong direction. There is also something personal about this assignment. You have experienced moments of silent struggle yourself. You know what it feels like to wish someone would notice without having to ask. You know the exhaustion of pretending strength. That empathy within you is not accidental. It was cultivated through your own trials so that you could recognize it in others. Archangel Michael strengthens those who have endured and learned compassion instead of bitterness. Your past prepared you for this moment. What once hurt you is now equipping you to heal someone else. But here is a truth that may surprise you. This assignment is also a test of your responsiveness. There have been times when you felt nudges before and ignored them. Moments when you sensed you should call, text, or check in, but delayed until the urgency passed. This time is different. The clarity is stronger. The prompting is heavier. The timing is precise. Heaven is watching how you respond when the instruction is unmistakable. The clock approaching 11:57 p.m. symbolizes more than an hour. It symbolizes alignment. When God highlights a specific time frame, it often means a spiritual cycle is closing and another is opening. Your obedience could mark the beginning of something new not only for them, but for you. There is a blessing attached to those who move quickly in love. Doors open. Favor increases. Protection strengthens. Not because you earned it through effort, but because you aligned yourself with divine rhythm. Do not underestimate how simple your action can be. It does not require grand gestures. It requires sincerity. Even a short message saying, "I felt led to check on you tonight," can feel like oxygen to someone suffocating in silence. And understand this clearly. You are not interfering. You are intervening. Archangel Michael does not support interference born from control, but he absolutely reinforces intervention born from compassion. When your motive is pure, heaven amplifies your presence. There may also be hesitation rising within you. Thoughts like, what if I am wrong? Or what if they do not need help? But ask yourself this: what harm is there in expressing care? Even if their struggle is smaller than you imagined, your kindness will still strengthen the connection. It is better to act and discover they are stable than to remain silent and later realize they were struggling deeply. There is something sacred about being someone's answered prayer without even knowing the full details. That is what you are becoming tonight. Anatsu. The spiritual atmosphere is sensitive right now. The decision forming in their heart has not yet solidified. It is still flexible. It is still influenceable. Your timing can shape its direction. And here is the deeper layer. When you help someone remain steady in their calling, you secure your own path as well. Alignment flows both ways. As you guard their breakthrough, heaven guards yours. This moment is not dramatic on the surface. It may look ordinary, but spiritually, it is significant. The unseen realm is attentive. Archangel Michael is positioned. The window remains open. Do not let this opportunity fade into regret. Act while conviction is strong. Move while clarity is fresh. Respond while the prompting is alive. Because what is about to be revealed next will show you how this single act of obedience connects to a much larger spiritual acceleration already forming around your life. Brave heart, what you are sensing right now is not pressure, it is positioning. Heaven is positioning you at the exact intersection where compassion meets destiny. There is a reason the urgency has not faded. There is a reason this message continues to stir something inside you instead of passing like a random thought. That persistence is confirmation. The person who needs your help is experiencing an internal battle that is far more intense than what they are showing externally. Outwardly, they are functioning. They are working, speaking, and directed. But inwardly, they are negotiating with doubt. They are asking themselves whether continuing to push forward is worth the emotional cost. They are exhausted from carrying expectations that no one else can see. Archangel Michael has been restraining forces that aim to magnify their discouragement. When someone carries potential, opposition often tries to isolate them mentally. Isolation clouds judgment. It makes temporary setbacks feel permanent. It makes small disappointments feel like final conclusions. This is the state they are in right now. And your role is not accidental. There is something about your voice that cuts through their mental noise. When you speak, it feels grounding to them. When you show concern, it feels authentic. That authenticity is what heaven intends to use tonight. You are not being asked to perform. You are being asked to be present. Presence carries power. Do not wait for the perfect words. Do not overanalyze the situation. A simple expression of care can become a turning point. Sometimes, the greatest miracles begin with the smallest gestures. There is another layer you must see. The hesitation you feel is not random either. Growth always invites resistance. When you step into spiritual responsibility, it stretches you. But stretching produces strength. If you avoid moments like this, you remain comfortable but unchanged. If you embrace them, you evolve. Archangel Michael strengthens those who choose courage over comfort. When you move despite uncertainty, you are signaling to heaven that you can be trusted with greater influence. Tonight is practice for future assignments that will carry even more weight. And here is something important. Helping this person does not mean absorbing their burdens. It means reminding them they are not alone while they carry them. You are not responsible for solving their entire journey. You are responsible for interrupting their isolation. Time continues to move, and the symbolic hour approaches. The urgency is not to create fear but to awaken action. When conviction lingers this long, it means delay is no longer wisdom. It is avoidance. If this message is resonating deeply with you, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so it can reach someone else who may also be assigned to step in for another person tonight. Share it with someone who needs confirmation about a nudge they have been feeling. Comment below if a specific name keeps coming to your mind as you listen. Subscribe if you want to remain aligned with messages that challenge you to act boldly and compassionately. Join the membership if you feel called to consistently stand in agreement with this movement of spiritual awareness. Your engagement is not about numbers. It is about expanding the reach of timely reminders that shift lives. There is more unfolding here than you realize. The person connected to you has been praying quietly for clarity. They may not have asked directly for help, but they asked for strength. And sometimes, God answers a prayer for strength by sending support. You are becoming part of their answered prayer. Archangel Michael is not only defending them, he is observing you. He is witnessing how you handle divine instruction. When you respond quickly, protection and favor align around you in ways you cannot immediately see. You may look back one day and realize that this small act of obedience unlocked something significant in your own life. Doors that seemed stuck began to move. Conversations shifted. Opportunities appeared. That is how divine exchange works. But first, action must replace contemplation. There is still time to respond. The window has not closed. The prompting has not faded. The opportunity remains alive. Do not let distraction steal this moment. Do not let comfort convince you to postpone. Reach out. Speak. Offer. Pray. Move. Because what is about to be revealed next will uncover how this connection ties into a larger spiritual elevation that has already begun around you, even if you have not recognized it yet. Steadfast one, there is a divine pattern unfolding, and you are standing right in the center of it. What may seem like a single urgent instruction is actually part of a much larger spiritual elevation taking place around your life. The reason this moment feels intense is because it marks a transition, not just for the person who needs your help, but for you as well. When God entrusts you with someone else's fragile season, it is because you have matured beyond your previous level. There was a time when you needed constant reassurance. There was a time when you were the one barely holding yourself together. But growth has occurred. Strength has formed quietly within you. You have endured storms that shaped your character. Now heaven sees you as stable enough to support another soul. Archangel Michael is not only a warrior, he is also a guardian of destiny shifts. Whenever someone is about to step into a new level of influence, there is spiritual activity surrounding them. Protection increases. Opposition tries to interfere. And divine assignments are released to ensure the transition is not aborted by discouragement. The person who needs your help is standing at the edge of such a transition. They have been sensing change, but instead of feeling excited, they feel intimidated. New levels bring on familiar challenges. Growth stretches comfort zones. Responsibility expands. And sometimes the fear of failing at the next level becomes heavier than the struggle at the current one. This is the tension they are navigating. They are not weak. They are overwhelmed by potential. When potential becomes visible, pressure often follows. The enemy tries to convince them that stepping forward is too risky, that retreat is safer, that staying small is more comfortable. But comfort is rarely connected to calling. Your voice carries grounding influence. You have the ability to remind them of who they are when fear tries to distort their identity. And that reminder could stabilize them long enough for courage to rise again. There is something sacred about being a voice of clarity in someone's fog. You may not feel extraordinary, but obedience makes ordinary people vessels of extraordinary impact. Tonight, your willingness becomes the difference between hesitation and movement in their life. Archangel Michael stands near moments like this because destiny decisions attract spiritual attention. When someone is about to either advance or withdraw, unseen forces become alert. But heaven's reinforcement is always stronger than opposition when someone chooses alignment. You may wonder why this feels personal to you, why this message seems directed specifically at your heart. The reason is simple. You were prepared for this. Your past disappointments taught you empathy. Your previous battles built resilience. Your own nights of silent questioning cultivated compassion. Everything you endured was shaping you for moments like this. There is also a hidden reward in stepping into this assignment. When you help secure someone else's transition, you accelerate your own. Alignment multiplies. Favor expands. Clarity sharpens. Obedience opens doors that effort alone cannot unlock. The hour is approaching steadily. The symbolic 11:57 p.m. is more than a time stamp. It represents decisive action before regret has a chance to settle in. Once a moment passes, it cannot be relived in the same way. Opportunity has seasons, and this season is now. Do not underestimate how powerful a simple message can be when sent at the right time. Do not dismiss the weight of showing up when someone least expects it. Even if they respond casually, even if they do not reveal everything immediately, your action will plant stability in their spirit. Archangel Michael reinforces seeds planted in obedience. He stands guard over divine connections that serve a greater purpose. Your relationship with this person is not random. It is part of a larger design that stretches beyond what you can see today. There is also something shifting in you as you listen. A sense of responsibility that feels heavier than before. That is growth. That is elevation. That is the realization that your life carries influence beyond your personal concerns. Helping them is not about losing energy. It is about releasing energy into purpose. When you pour into the right assignment, heaven replenishes you. Do not allow doubt to dilute clarity. Do not let delay replace conviction. The prompting remains strong because the need remains urgent. Act with confidence. Speak with sincerity. Move with compassion. Because what is about to unfold next will reveal how your obedience tonight connects to protection being activated over your own household in ways you have been praying for without realizing it. Faithful warrior, what you are about to understand will deepen the weight of this moment even more. Your obedience tonight is not only connected to their stability or your elevation, it is connected to protection. There is a covering that heaven desires to activate, and your compassion is the key that unlocks it. The person who needs your help has been under unusual mental strain. It is not visible in dramatic ways. It is subtle. A quiet heaviness, a constant fatigue that sleep is not fix, thoughts that loop without resolution. They have been trying to solve everything internally, believing that strength means silence. But silence had been amplifying the pressure. Archangel Michael had been positioned as a shield in this situation. When mental battles intensify around someone carrying purpose, divine protection draws near. But protection often partners with human obedience. God sends people as reinforcements in seasons where isolation could become dangerous. You are that reinforcement. There are moments in life when a person stands closer to emotional collapse than anyone realizes. They continue functioning externally, but internally they are negotiating surrender. Not surrender to peace, but surrender to discouragement. And discouragement, if left unchallenged, can slowly erode calling. Your presence will interrupt that erosion. When you reach out, you are not simply checking in. You are stepping into a divine exchange. As you cover them with care, heaven releases covering over you. This is a spiritual law many overlook. Protection multiplies when compassion moves quickly. There is a reason you have been feeling this urgency repeatedly. It is because something was attempting to escalate quietly in their mind. But escalation can be interrupted by connection. Even one sincere conversation can shift mental direction. Even one moment of feeling understood can restore balance. Archangel Michael does not only defend against visible threats. He stands guard against unseen spirals. And tonight, your obedience partners with that guarding presence. You may not see the full picture. You may never fully know how close they were to making a harmful decision about their future. But heaven sees it clearly. And heaven chose you. A choice is significant. You have been praying for protection over your own life. You have been asking God to shield your household, to guard your plans, to keep you from unseen danger. Sometimes the answer to those prayers comes disguised as an opportunity to protect someone else. As you respond to this assignment, protection flows in both directions. There is something sacred about mutual covering. When you become a safe place for someone else, you activate safety around yourself. When you stand in the gap for another, angels stand in the gap for you. The symbolic hour continues to approach. The window remains open, but moments like this are sensitive. Action strengthens alignment. Delay weakens clarity. If this message confirms what you have been sensing, declare it boldly. Type "I accept the assignment" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 8484 is now activated over your obedience in your household. As this blessing code is released, understand that it represents divine covering and reinforcement. It is a declaration that you are stepping into alignment without hesitation. And now hear this carefully. What you do tonight will ripple forward. Not in dramatic public ways, but in quiet stability. The person connected to you will sleep differently after feeling supported. Your thoughts will slow. Their fear will weaken. Their confidence will begin to rebuild. And in the days ahead, you will notice something shifting around you as well. Opportunities will feel less blocked. Conversations will open more easily. A sense of peace will settle deeper within your spirit. That is not coincidence. That is exchange. Archangel Michael responds to alignment with reinforcement. When you stand where you are assigned, heaven strengthens the ground beneath your feet. Do not underestimate the significance of small obedience. Large miracles often begin with quiet yeses. The hour is near. The prompting is clear. The opportunity is alive. Move now. As you accept this assignment and step under divine covering, understand that every seed you release through Super Thanks membership or the PayPal link in the description becomes a shield for countless unseen battles. When you sow into this mission, you are pouring oil into a lamp that keeps God's light burning for souls who feel surrounded by darkness. The Lord declares, "Those who guard others will be guarded by me." Let this be your moment to say, "I will fuel the fire that protects destinies." Your generosity becomes a river that carries hope into homes you may never see. Do not hesitate when heaven invites you to act. Activate your support now and stand as a builder of protection in this prophetic movement. Awaken soul, the atmosphere around this moment is shifting, and you may already feel it. There is a subtle clarity forming within you, a quiet certainty that this is not just emotional persuasion but divine instruction. What began as urgency is now becoming understanding. You are starting to see that your obedience tonight is woven into something far greater than a single conversation or gesture. The person who needs your help has been standing in a fragile space between endurance and surrender. They have been telling themselves to push through, to stay strong, to keep going. But strength without support eventually becomes strain. And strain, if prolonged, leads to cracks that are not immediately visible. Archangel Michael has been stationed in this situation not because catastrophe is inevitable, but because destiny is valuable. Whenever destiny carries weight, protection intensifies. However, divine protection often works in partnership with human action. Heaven sends people as answers before it sends visible miracles. You are that answer. There is something you must understand about timing. When God highlights a moment repeatedly, it is because unseen variables are aligning. Conversations you do not hear, thoughts you do not see, emotions you cannot measure are all converging. The hour approaching 11:57 p.m. represents a decision point forming in their spirit. It is subtle but real. They are deciding whether to withdraw emotionally from something meaningful, whether to quietly lower their expectations, whether to step back from a calling that feels heavier than they anticipated. And they are making that decision alone, in their mind. Unless you interrupt the isolation. Your intervention does not have to be dramatic. It only needs to be sincere. When you step in with empathy, you disrupt the illusion that they are unsupported. You remind them that their struggle is not invisible. And sometimes, that reminder is enough to keep someone moving forward one more day. There is also something forming within you as you prepare to act. Confidence is rising. Clarity is strengthening. This is not coincidence. Obedience refines discernment. The more you respond to divine nudges, the sharper your spiritual awareness becomes. Archangel Michael strengthens those who choose alignment over apathy. Every time you answer a call like this, you build spiritual stamina. You become more sensitive to purpose. You become more courageous in responsibility. There is a misconception that destiny only involves large, public moments. In reality, destiny is often secured in private acts of faithfulness. Tonight may not be visible to the world, but it is visible to heaven. You may wonder if you are overestimating your importance in this situation. Let that doubt fade. God does not place repeated conviction in your heart without reason. The fact that this message continues to resonate means the assignment remains active. And here is another truth. The person connected to you may not articulate gratitude immediately. They may respond casually. They may not fully reveal the depth of what they were feeling. Do not measure impact by outward reaction. Seeds planted in crisis often grow quietly over time. Archangel Michael guards those seeds. As you step into this moment, remember that courage does not always feel loud. Sometimes courage feels like a simple decision to reach out despite uncertainty. Sometimes it feels like choosing to care deeply when it would be easier to remain distant. The symbolic hour is near, but it is not about fear. It is about alignment. When you act within the window of conviction, you secure peace afterward. Regret only forms when we ignore clarity. There is still time. The prompting has not weakened. The assignment has not expired. Move with intention. Speak with calmness. Offer presence without pressure. Because what is about to unfold next will reveal how this single act of obedience is positioning you for an unexpected opportunity that has been forming quietly behind the scenes, waiting for confirmation of your readiness. Determined one, what you are stepping into now is the confirmation stage. You have heard the urgency. You have understood the assignment. You have sensed the protection surrounding it. But now heaven is watching for action. Not delayed intention. Not silent agreement. Action. There is a shift happening in the unseen realm as the symbolic hour approaches. The person who needs your help is wrestling with a conclusion. They are tired of carrying weight that feels unshared. They are close to making a quiet internal decision to step back from something that once mattered deeply to them. Not because they lack ability, but because they feel alone in the responsibility. Loneliness distorts perspective. It exaggerates obstacles and minimizes support. It makes mountains out of moments. And when someone feels alone long enough, they begin adjusting their dreams to fit their discouragement. Archangel Michael hath been restraining that distortion. He has been holding back the full force of despair that attempted to cloud their judgment. But divine restraint often waits for human partnership. This is where your obedience becomes critical. Your voice carries grounding authority in their life. Not because you are perfect, but because you are trusted. Trust amplifies influence. When you speak encouragement, it does not sound like empty optimism. It sounds like stability. And stability is what they need most right now. There is something else you must understand. When you step into this moment decisively, you cross into a new level of spiritual maturity. Many people feel divine nudges. Few respond consistently. Responsiveness separates observers from participants in God's plan. Tonight, you are being invited to participate. The hour is close. The window is narrowing. Not in panic, but in precision. Precision matters in destiny. When you align with timing, outcomes shift in ways you may not immediately recognize. You may feel a slight hesitation even now. Thoughts trying to rationalize delay. Maybe tomorrow would be better. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe they are fine. But ask yourself this: if the prompting was unnecessary, would it have remained this persistent? Clarity repeated is instruction. Archangel Michael strengthens decisive hearts. When you move without overanalyzing, you demonstrate trust in divine guidance. And trust unlocks greater assignments. If this message hath been stirring something undeniable within you, do not keep it private. Like this video so others who are sensing a similar urgency can find confirmation. Share it with someone who may also need to respond to a divine nudge tonight. Comment below if you are preparing to reach out to someone before this hour passes. Subscribe if you desire to remain aligned with messages that challenge you to act boldly and compassionately. Join the membership if you feel called to consistently stand in agreement with this movement of spiritual awareness. Your engagement is not about visibility. It is about amplifying timely words that prevent silent battles from escalating. There is power in collective responsiveness. The person connected to you may never know how close they were to withdrawing emotionally. They may never admit how heavy their thoughts became. But your timely presence will interrupt that path. And here is the deeper revelation. As you act tonight, you are signaling to heaven that you are ready for increased influence. Influence requires responsibility. Responsibility requires responsiveness. You are proving both. Archangel Michael does not only guard individuals, he guards transitions. And you are stepping into one. The moment you act, something will shift internally within you. Confidence will solidify. Discernment will sharpen. Peace will settle. Because obedience brings closure to internal conflict. The symbolic 11:57 p.m. represents decisive alignment before regret can form. Once the moment passes, you may still reach out, but it will not carry the same precision. Timing adds weight to action. Do not delay any longer. Reach out with sincerity. Speak from your heart. Offer presence. Offer prayer. Offer encouragement. And prepare yourself, because what is about to be revealed next will uncover how this single act of faithfulness is unlocking a door you have been knocking on for longer than you realize. Steady believer, Something irreversible is about to happen the moment you act. Not dramatic on the outside, but powerful in the unseen. You have walked through the urgency, the revelation, the protection, the responsibility. Now you stand at the threshold of fulfillment. This is the moment where obedience becomes reality. The person who needs your help is closer than you think to a turning point. They have been replaying conversations in their mind. They have been weighing options quietly. They have been asking themselves whether continuing to carry certain responsibilities is worth the emotional toll. Their thoughts have been drifting toward detachment, not because they want to fail, but because they are exhausted from fighting alone. Exhaustion makes surrender look attractive. Archangel Michael hath been standing firm in this situation, limiting the intensity of the pressure. But there are moments when heaven waits for a human yes to finalize intervention. That yes is yours. You must understand something crucial right now. The assignment was never about proving your spirituality. It was about activating your influence. Influence is stewardship. When God places someone within your relational reach, it is intentional. Relationships are not random. They are positioned. Tonight, your position matters. You may not realize how deeply your presence anchors them. You may not see the respect they hold for your perspective. But when you speak, it recalibrates their thinking. When you express care, it reminds them that they are not invisible. There's also a spiritual mirror effect happening. As you prepare to stabilize them, heaven is stabilizing you. As you prepare to reassure them, heaven is reinforcing your own foundation. Alignment flows both ways. What you release outward returns strengthened inward. Archangel Michael responds to decisive compassion. When you move quickly in love, reinforcement surrounds your path. Protection tightens around your household. Clarity sharpens in your decisions. Peace deepens in your spirit. But there is still a choice in front of you. Delay is subtle. It often disguises itself as wisdom. It whispers that there will be another opportunity. That tomorrow will feel more convenient. But destiny rarely waits for convenience. It responds to courage. The symbolic hour is nearly upon you. Not as a threat, but as a marker. A marker of readiness. A marker of alignment. A marker of whether you will allow conviction to become action. Imagine for a moment what will happen when you reach out. They may pause before responding. They may take a breath they did not realize they were holding. They may feel seen in a way they have not felt in weeks. That small shift in their emotional state could prevent a long-term retreat. And you may never fully know the depth of what you prevented. That is the nature of divine assignments. Impact often remains partially hidden. But heaven records everything. There is also something forming behind the scenes in your own life. A door that has seemed resistant. A situation that has felt delaying. A breakthrough you have quietly hoped for. Your obedience tonight is acting as confirmation that you are prepared for what you have been requesting. Responsiveness precedes elevation. Archangel Michael does not only guard crises, he guards promotions. And when someone demonstrates consistent alignment, protection increases around their advancement. You have come too far in this moment to step back now. The clarity is too strong. The prompting is too persistent. The timing is too precise. Move. Let your compassion become action. Let your conviction become contact. Let your concern become mitigation. The atmosphere is ready for intervention. And what comes next will bring closure to this assignment in a way that seals both protection and blessing over you and the person connected to you. The final revelation will make clear why this was urgent, why this was timed, and why you were chosen. Chosen one. This is the sealing moment. Everything that has been building throughout this message now converges into one final truth. You were not alerted by accident, and you were not stirred without reason. The urgency, the repeated conviction, the symbolism of 11:57 p.m. It was all a divine countdown to alignment. By now, you either have acted or you are seconds away from acting. And heaven hath been watching not with pressure but with expectation. Because this was never about fear. It was about faith in motion. The person who needed your help was standing at a fragile edge. Not an edge of destruction, but an edge of decision. An edge where discouragement was trying to quietly rewrite their future. An edge where silence could have deepened into detachment. But your obedience disrupted that path. The moment you reached out, something shifted. Perhaps they did not say much. Perhaps they responded simply. But internally a storm slowed. A lie weakened. A weight lightened. That is how divine intervention often looks. Subtle on the surface, powerful underneath. Archangel Michael stood watch as that shift occurred. Because when destiny is protected, heaven marks the moment. What could have become a season of withdrawal has now become a moment of reinforcement. What could have turned into isolation has now become connection. And here is the greater revelation. This assignment was not only about saving them from discouragement. It was about confirming you as trustworthy with influence. You were sensitive enough to hear, humble enough to receive, courageous enough to act. Responsiveness is rare. Many feel nudges. You move on them. Tonight, you move. The symbolic 11:57 p.m. represented a closing door of hesitation and the opening door of decisive faith. You crossed the threshold, and in doing so, something unlocked over your own life. Do not be surprised if, in the coming days, you notice acceleration. Conversations that were stalled begin to move. Opportunities that felt distant begin to approach. Peace that seemed inconsistent becomes steady. This is not coincidence. This is alignment bearing fruit. When you guard someone else's fragile hour, heaven guards your unfolding season. Archangel Michael reinforces those who respond without delay. Protection increases around the obedient. Favor rests on the willing, and clarity settles on the responsive. It was a special reason you were chosen. It was not because you are perfect. It was because you are available. Availability is what heaven seeks most. And now this moment seals with blessing. If this message marked you, if you acted before the hour passed, declare it boldly. Type "IT is done" in the comments if you stepped into obedience tonight. Lesson code 5757 is now released over your life and your household. This code represents completion and covering. Completion of hesitation. Covering over your home. Reinforcement over your destiny. Carry this confidence forward. The next time you feel a divine nudge, you will recognize it faster. You will hesitate less. You will trust more deeply. Because tonight proved that your discernment is real. You were positioned. You were alerted. You responded. And heaven recorded your yes. As this assignment seals and protection settles over your household, understand that every act of generosity becomes another answered prayer for someone standing at their own 11:57 p.m. moment. When you release support through Super Thanks, step into membership, or give through the PayPal link in the description, you are sowing into fields where weary souls are waiting for light. The Lord speaks, "As you strengthen others, I will establish you." This is your moment to say, "I will fund the rescue of destinies." Let your giving become fire on the altar that keeps these urgent messages reaching hearts before it is too late. What you sow now will rise as a harvest of protection and favor over your life. Act in faith. Seal your obedience with generosity and fuel the spread of God's living word now.